I did watch the Titans. That's who's I, bro. So okay, the
You,
Titans.
you watched you watched all of it, the whole 3 seasons?
3 seasons. Now I watched the newest 3 episodes. 3 seasons.
How you
Nah.
skip the whole?
Fuck it, you can put me on. Guru and Chance, what's going on? We're back. Took a little hiatus, but we're back with another one. Chance, let's talk to him. Let's start with Suicide Squad, man. How you feeling about that Suicide Squad?
The Suicide Squad. For me, it was steps and steps above the first one. It's important to remind the audience that this is not a direct sequel. This is more of like a reboot slash kind of sequel. They make a couple of quick references to part one, but you can honestly watch this movie by itself without ever seeing the Will Smith one. The movie was to me, I really enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoy what the director did. I enjoy James Gunn has just further established himself as one of the greats when it comes to directing and writing and whatever he did because he
I
was given
agree,
full
yeah.
control. Yeah, he was given a lot of full control for this movie. I think he had one exception. I think you reminded me. I think
Oh
he
yeah,
couldn't.
he couldn't do any Batman movie, but I
Right.
basically was like, hey, listen, you could take any other character, but you can't
Hmm.
do a Batman. We got some plans for Batman. But like you said,
Right.
he's good at taking obscure characters like Ratcatcher. You gonna care about a girl that controls rats? Yeah, he made you care about a
Hmm.
rat catcher and a shark.
A guy that put the
So
polka
yeah, that's
dots.
right. It's like what? So he's good. He's good at that. Yeah.
And need not be said, spoiler alert, because we will be talking about the deaths and everything that happened to the movie. This is a spoiler review, not a spoiler free review.
Right, listen, you're
That
so
being
nice about it
said,
because I wouldn't even give it to him. But you're right. Spoilers ahead.
right, Guru doesn't care as much as I do about saying spoiler alert.
I care not. I care not.
He assumes. I mean, he assumes, and I guess he's right. He assumes that if you're watching this, you know we're gonna tell you about the movie, and I agree with him. However, you have some people who will not read spoiler review and say, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna hear them talk about it. Maybe they won't spoil anything for me. No, we're gonna spoil it all for you. You haven't seen it. I don't know what to tell you, but
I don't know what to tell you.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, James Gunn made me care about Polka Dot Man. It actually bothered me. Not, I mean, I'm kidding. It didn't bother me, but it was sad to see him go when he died. It was very sudden, and I thought,
It was, I will
like,
say though, remember in the very beginning, he's like, yo, we're all gonna die. He's like, I hope so. So it's like
right.
he
So
kind of had a
writing
guard
wise,
dart.
right, writing wise, he was given exactly what that was the end of his arc. Death was something that he said like you said, he said he wanted from the beginning, so it was given to him. So that was very good character writing because if they even ever died,
It's
then putting that movie kind
foreshadowing
of
for sure. Yeah, good
foreshadowing,
foreshadowing.
right? Yeah. So putting that in the movie definitely they didn't let words just be spoken. Like they
Right.
followed up on
It
it.
wasn't just to say things like even the peacemaker. Your man was so dope because everything he said aligned up to either be like contradicted, you know what I mean, contradictory,
Right.
or like prove the point that this guy will do whatever. Like even the joke of
Yeah.
him, what I mean, sucking the bag of dicks on the beach is like that sounds wild
Hmm.
crazy, but he's saying like I will do whatever. I will follow whatever ridiculousness. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's like
He said,
and the other
I
part was like,
will.
yo, he's like, listen, I love peace. I do whatever for peace. I kill a mother, daughter, child. I kill whatever for
Yeah,
peace.
I was just
Right?
about to
So it's
say
like
that. Yeah.
to you lining up who these people are and you explaining what the world is, and he does a good job at that, man. He does a good
Hmm.
job at that, and that's kind of what what the problem is with a lot of these movies, man. They try to bank on you saying, "Oh, I'm here for the Batman. I'm here for the Superman," because everybody know Batman, everybody knows Superman, everybody knows Spider-Man. So you bank on that name. It's kind of like banking on a superstar, A-list celebrity, right? But
Hmm.
the problem with that is like if you don't put enough energy into crafting a story that's compelling and has some type of emotion, right? The emotion, like the character link between the Ratcatcher 1 and 2. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And the link between Polka Dot Man and the mom. You know what I'm saying? The
Hmm.
link between what's my name? Bullseye Man.
Bloodshot, Bloodsport, Blood.
Bloodsport, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Bloodsport and his daughter. So it's like you implement emotional beads and it allows you to tether your own type of feeling to it. But it also was fun enough and action packed enough where it's like you had a good balance. You know what I mean? So it's like that's where it's like people will say, hey, listen, you know, Sometimes Zack Snyder's too actiony. Sometimes you don't. Hey, some of the people, hey, it's too much story. It's too much talking here. So it's like I think he took something where it's like you expect to see superhero stuff. You expect that,
Right.
but if you give us the other stuff that matters, right?
I honestly think that adding Batman or somebody in this particular case might even hurt the movie. I think if you're gonna make a movie and call it the Suicide Squad, it should be solely based on the Suicide Squad. It shouldn't need any.
Don't hinge it on somebody else.
Right. Let it just be exactly what you want it to be. Like, trust the process. You decide to do a Suicide Squad, give us the Suicide Squad and just and just bank on that. Don't give us the Suicide Squad and a Batman section. You know what I mean? So I think what it is, James Gunn is established enough where he trusted the process and he said, you know what, I don't even need to put Batman in the movie. So I'm okay with that.
Let me. Something too. You said, did you know in the beginning the plan was to put Superman in that movie? Superman was supposed to be in that movie.
The villain, right?
Right. And imagine how crazy that'd have been. Like you said, like it's not needed. See, the thing about it is, like you said, a beautiful story could be crafted without those big names because there's enough there. Had the right person do it. You know what I mean? The first time was a cash grab. A little Batman, a little Flash, a little Joker.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was less about the people in the movie, the Suicide Squad, and more about that. And it's like this time, you got to see the progression. There was more progression of Harley Quinn character there in this newest Suicide Squad than was in her own movie. And a good example of that is I was just telling you, I just seen the Cruella joint. You know what I mean? Like a advanced whatever. And what's crazy about that is, if nothing else, they told the story with a female lead, and she wasn't like a byproduct of somebody else's story. She was the story. She was the lead of the story. She was a genius. She was calculated. You know what I mean? That's what they should have did more with Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's movie, she was kind of like bumbling and falling through for the first 40 minutes of that movie. The only thing she really directed with was the sandwich. She loved the sandwich. That's basically what was her driving force for the first 40 minutes of that movie.
So Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn made about 3 appearances, if I'm not mistaken. That was the first Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, and then now the Suicide Squad. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've seen 3 different Harley Quinns.
Right.
I don't know
portrayals.
Yes. And I think, I don't know if I consider that character building or character arc, or if I just think it's kind of just,
You know what it really is, bro? It's when different writers come onto the joint. You know what I mean? The benefit that Marvel has is they have the same producers, writers, directors, right? You got Russo brothers and the other cats been doing the same. They did all the Captain America movies. So it's like, of course, they're going to follow up with what that character's been doing and the emotional beats, because you wrote the emotional beats. So it's like when James Gunn comes in the picture, what was dope about him is he did keep a lot of those character. He tried to weave in the previous, like her issues with the Joker. Like she was no longer with the Joker, right? She had she had like the mention to him on the jacket. So it was like he did try to see what was before into what was, and that was good. But it makes it easier to do that when you have everybody on the same page from jump, right? Like the MCU or Marvel, they got everybody on the same page from jump. So this is you. You're gonna do this for 5 to 7 pictures. I got the same director doing, so everybody understands what the role is in the movie is, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what Marvel does good, man. Marvel has a beat on what their character is supposed to be, for the simple fact that they got the same guys working on the project. It's harder to do that with the DCU stuff because everybody's jumping around. You signing different directors, and everybody has their own spin on things. You know what I mean? They want to shake it up the way they want to shake it up. So if nothing else, he had enough respect for what was before. Margot Robbie's a good actress, so there was no problem there. And the story, they wrote a good ass story, man. At the end of the day, that's what it's supposed to be.
I think DC is starting to understand it. They're starting to figure it out. I think for example, Zack Snyder, Justice League. That's how it should always be. They found it, they got it. That's the direction they should go, director wise.
They even let him do another fucking thing, but yeah.
If they let him, right. On the suicide part, James Gunn is your guy.
Yeah, I hope they keep him down. And and he about to go back to MCU to do that work. So it's like, if you see another Suicide Squad movie, it's gonna be like 3 years from now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while. He has a lot of work to do. He's still working, like you said, he's still working on Part 3 of Guardian of the
Guardian.
Galaxies.
Yeah.
You know, and that's gonna be a biggie. Then I think
Hopefully Adam Warlock is in that.
oh, that will be it for me, man. Adam Warlock, that's perfect, and he fits right in because well, I mean, it's hard to say. No, you know, he does fit in because the Infinity Saga just ended. However, he's the protector and makes sure that they will never be used again. So
right, because he was initially in that whole saga, right? And they kind of like they
brushed
figured,
him
okay,
aside.
we'll save right. Now we talking about the most that the what if is coming out. That
Yeah.
what if, boy.
Yeah, it's exactly what we spoke about. It's giving us a chance to answer the question, "What if?" And I'm having fun watching, especially Chadwick episode. That was definitely something where I didn't know I wanted it, and they gave it to me.
That's a fact. I didn't even think of that, and I was like, yeah, that whole episode was fine. Maybe you know what's so good about this too, that Marvel is able to tap into. This makes you like the other property more. It makes me want to go watch Guardians more because the little things that changed. I want to go see. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
The simple fact that like they switched it and so many things was different. Like he wasn't a bumbling idiot because it was just like his character's different, right? So because of his character and demeanor is different, the way he would have been Star-Lord is different. He's not right. He's not a jokey. You know what I'm saying? He's more of a leader.
He took what made him a great king in Wakanda, and he took that and put it on a galactic level. And this is what makes me a great hero of the galaxy. It kind of it's kind of shits on Chris Pratt's character in a way, but it's kind of like saying like, well, yeah, he would make a fantastic Star-Lord, and you're pretty much an asshole Star-Lord. However,
I feel like you know what you could, in the same breath that it puts him down, it also just elevates Black Panther T'Challa. Is what it really does. Like he's just so at that level, right? That he could tell Thanos, like, nah, listen, I got a better one for you. Like that's just how. That's really a testament to him, not a negation from so and so. What's his name? Quill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Peter Quill. I can't think of it. But you know what? It's like also too. It's like the direct opposite of what we see in the movies because Peter Quill actively messed up the plan to with the whole part with Thanos and he couldn't handle Gamora's death. So
T'Challa wouldn't have did that at all, right?
Exactly. Exactly, T'Challa, and I like the way they did to him because, like you said, you made a great point that it just shows how great of a character T'Challa is, and I think Chadwick was the perfect person to emphasize that. Like, and it's not even one of those things where he's gone, so I'm gonna just speak of it. No, I can't say enough good things about him. I thought about these things when he was still alive, and it just goes to show you how
Boseman has not ever been in a bad movie. Every role Chadwick Boseman has had.
He's never done wrong.
Gods Among Us garbage that Hollywood made. He
was good in that.
One of the one black people in that shit.
Is that the movie where? That's the movie where he played and he different characters. Like he was a
character that can duplicate himself.
Yes,
the name of the god was.
Yes, I can't remember his name either, but I loved him in that too.
Is this Set?
Set. Maybe.
But anyway, he played a character that could duplicate. So it was like
I actually liked that movie. I don't know why people disliked it. I didn't mind it at all.
Brother, you about to lose your color card right now. Nah. Why people don't like that movie? Because how you gonna tell me that all them Egyptians was light skinned in it?
I mean, on that part,
disrespectful. Yeah. You telling me the last Egyptians was white?
I actually haven't seen it in a long time. I just remember watching it, maybe not thinking about it on that type of platform. But
tell me Russell Crowe is one of the last Egyptian god type shit? Is it? Stop it, Cinco. It's a movie about Egyptian gods.
Yeah, when you view it in that,
one of them is Russell Crowe.
When you view it in that sense, yeah. I'm talking about like writer wise, like people didn't like the movie from my understanding because they didn't like it. It wasn't one of the things I was mentioned when I was reading about it. But now that you make that point, yeah, I can understand why people be frustrated about that. But as far as like the movie itself, like I didn't, I kind of wish they would
a whole movie on why. Okay, it's gonna be a whole expose. My opinion versus your opinion. You gonna say it's good. I'm gonna say it's dog shit, and we're gonna break it down. Because at the end of the day,
I never said it was good. I just said I didn't mind it. And the name of the movie was called Gods of Egypt.
Oh my goodness, you liked it. You corrected me on the name. You liked it enough to correct the name.
No, I just feel like that's Reviewers, we gotta get our shit together.
That's true. Hey, we gotta get our shit together. That's bad. No, touche, my man. Touche.
You know what I'm saying?
That's like accurate. All right.
Because Gods Among Us is a Justice League story, so we can't confuse that.
What is?
The Gods Among Us, the name you said it was, that's actually a Justice League story. That's the story. I think
that's the Injustice shit.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a good ass story when Harley Quinn and all of them, when she was cool with Batman. I think like that comic run.
Yeah. They should make a movie based on that. They even have a game on it, but they should do a movie based on that, I think.
It's just easier to do the animated stuff and the games for DC because they don't have the world built big enough. The Warner Brothers doesn't trust any particular group of producer or director or writer to helm anything like that. I remember it was what's his name? Jeff Goins? The dude from DC, he was writer. He used to write the comic books. Jeff
I can't remember his name.
I'm gonna Google it right now. Jeff Johns, I think. Jeff Johns. Okay. Sounds right. But anyway, the guy, he was helm of DC, and they was working, hand and foot. But I just think, they need to build a team like anybody else in any industry. You gotta build a team to get the vision going. And DC, Marvel and Disney over there got Favreau, they got Russo, they got James Gunn who's coming aboard over it left and right. So it's really just about people that's going to put the story forward. To go back to that, what if though? I think it's a beautiful thing, just because it's like, anything could happen. They could do anything, but the fact that they also bring it together to show you the implications to the changes, right? Yeah. Like it's easy to just say like, okay, well this happened, this is different, but like the implications to the later events, like when Ego pulled up on Quill. You know what I'm saying? It's like he actually came and got him. Why? Because he didn't pop up on him.
Right.
Now he's already on Earth. He can see Earth faster now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like there's a lot of different things going on where it's like the what if stuff could branch. Even with the Loki, how it seemed like the Loki thing might have opened up that idea. I don't know if they're gonna pair the Loki and the what if, like Loki calls the what if type of thing, like the Watchers watching all these breaks. Which they could just do. That's an easy swing, right? Like he's watching all the breaks that the Loki show caused.
Right.
But yeah.
The transition is pretty easy now because you've introduced the concept of the Watcher. So they can pretty much do whatever they want, and the Watcher is the excuse on how it happened. That's just another variety of things you've seen amongst the crazy things that happen. So they can do whatever they want, honestly. He
cause it, but he's watching it occur somewhere else.
And he says that as he's narrating, like, I can see it. I know what's going to happen. I know what happened before. But one thing I will not do is interfere. He's basically God of Marvel. And I was
going to say this too. That reminds me of Eternals. How did Eternals movie's about to drop? Mm-hmm. And their whole thing is right. They've been here forever. It's like, well, why they ain't help out? Oh, we can't interfere.
We can't interfere.
Okay, so that's an easy. All right. Okay, I guess.
It's also lazy writing, but
right, like it's,
I mean, but it's fair. Like, how else do you explain these things? When you're in a writer's table and you're building a world of superheroes and you want to give them all the individual movies and make one big movie. When you're doing that, you have to think about the fact that in each movie, the audience is going to question, well, where were these other heroes in this movie or that movie or that movie? So that's something that's going to naturally be an issue no matter what. So at some point, you kind of have to be lazy with your writing because you can't keep on coming up with an explanation. You could, but it would take a lot of time and a lot of thought process. It's just easier to kind of like say, oh, we would never interfere, or Thor was in a distant planet, or Captain Marvel had a whole bunch of other planets to save, so she couldn't come back in time. That's what they said when they asked her, where were you? Well, there's a whole bunch of other planets, and unfortunately, they don't have you guys. That was a perfect answer, and that was actually smart. So it's kind of like, all right, that worked for her. She wins.
Right.
But what happened in Thor when the big metal monster was beating him up and he wasn't worthy? Where was Captain America? Where was So where was Iron Man at the time? He had just became Iron Man by the time Thor came out. Why he didn't help? So they didn't really explain everything, but honestly, as a fan, you don't have to. Like,
well, you know what part of it is too? Definitely as a writer and as somebody's crafting the world and shit. a lot of that is like you didn't have an answer for it, or you didn't pose the question when you was first writing it. Like when you was first putting this together, like when they first made Iron Man, they had ideas of how they could expand the whole world, but it's like they didn't answer all that about Eternals. We'll get to that when we have enough platform, right? So it's like
Right.
once you got there, now you have to establish. You have to establish canonical, you know what I mean, backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like you got to make it make sense. If you would have already had those questions in line, or if you had already planned that out, you probably would have seeded it in somewhere. We probably had already seen some hint of Eternals, you know what I mean? So they do that sometimes, just like we seen the hints of Black Panther on, you know what I mean, on the board to show Wakanda, or like you get those hints because they were thinking about it in advance enough. So I just feel like, yeah, like you said, it's easy and it works. If it works, it works. But if they would have thought about it like they thought about other pieces, yeah, they would have just stemmed it along before. So if you answer those questions early enough, like look at Star Wars. Look at how much he had done. Look how many pieces he had. Look at Game of Thrones. Look how much mother had done.
Yeah, he
it's like,
died.
so it's like you right. So
Yeah.
like with these type of things, like you ask those people anything about their world. How the toilets work? I got you. You ask J.K. Rowling how the toilets work in Harry Potter. I'm sure she got an answer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I guess
just little shit.
what it is, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but what it is was like when this thing first started, they were rolling the dice a lot because they started this with Robert Downey Jr. and you know the stuff he was going through. I mean, they trusted him enough to say, you know what, you know, you're our guy. It was a gamble. They probably at that time didn't even think it'd get this far. They probably had the plans, but they probably was like, oh, we're hoping this makes it. If this makes it, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And it ended up being a huge hit, and it got the whole universe started. But now that they got the green light to make a whole universe, they have so much other things to write out and plan that they probably didn't even think like, well, then how do we explain why these heroes wasn't here or there?
Right.
And you know what I mean?
Little things. Right.
And like I said, that's fair, especially for what they've done for the past decade. It's forgiven for me.
Oh yeah.
That's okay. You know what I mean? I don't
think they're gonna make an Eternals. They gonna make a Guardians of the Galaxy. You would have if Iron Man ain't work, none of this shit would have happened. So like like you said, man.
They put all their money and their hopes and everything they had into this star that was already, you know, in and out of jail, you know, on drugs, had alcohol problems. Like they really gambled with the dice, and I'm so glad they did because Robert Downey Jr. is like, to me, is like a national treasure for me because this is what he's the definition of somebody who could be down and find their way to the top. So I'm glad they took that risk, and I'm glad everything turned out the way it did. Transitioning real quick to Eternals, how do you feel about it? Are you excited?
Oh, the Eternals. Yo, listen, yeah, I'm interested in seeing what they're gonna do. I'll be honest. It looks all right, and I'm interested in giving it a shot. That's all I can say.
Well, you've said more than I could, because I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I don't know what the hell Eternals is. I didn't really look. All I know is they are a fan of.
I'll tell you what I know. Yeah, what do you know?
I just know they're a group of family with powers, and they've been around forever. And they're like, you know, they all have like long ass lives, and they kind of just live it on amongst themselves, and they don't interfere with anybody else. One particular character I actually did Google a little bit was Black Knight, and he's played by Kip Harington, better known as the guy from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a Game of Thrones fan, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name.
At least Game of Thrones.
I did say Game of Thrones. Yeah, you gotta cut that.
We play Game of Thrones right now.
Game of Thrones for sure. Yeah, so I know that's his character. I know the powers. Well, his character in particular doesn't have powers. He has the power to call upon and magical armor. Right. Yeah, the sword. And I think once he touches the sword, it kind of becomes his armor, kind of like when Thor grabs the hammer.
Yeah, so like you know, every time he kills somebody, it has the soul of the person he kills. I think he's like basically unkillable as long as he's touching the sword.
Right. Oh, Jon Snow, by the way, Jon Snow. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't say that. Okay. All right. I
don't watch that show, but that's a fact. That is him.
Yes.
What I do know about them is, so they were created basically by the Celestials, right? and the Celestials also made like the
Thanos.
Deviants. Right. So
All right.
down the
See.
line, the thing about it is down the line, the Eternals were created to defend, quote unquote, or destroy, like to kill off the Deviants. And the Deviants, Thanos wanted. So it's like, if that's the case, why you ain't go for him? You know what I
Right.
mean?
That
So
was
they'll have to
yeah.
explain that.
Yeah.
But there's
Definitely.
a Thanos tie there. There's a tie to like people like Ego, and just Celestial. So it's like we'll see what they do with that. I think it'll be a lot of how like we get like the ground world building. I think this will be more of like, so they say in Shang-Chi, they say that's gonna be fire it's a lot going on in that. So maybe it's like as these ground level cats build up the world, this will build up like the galaxy. You know what I'm saying?
So you think this is kind of like a reboot, like a restart on a whole new chapter? I mean, technically it is. It's kind of like they're kind of moving away from the whole Avenger thing, and they're kind of just like the movies
We're
in the
not gonna get
future
another
will.
Avenger movie for a while.
No, I don't think we're gonna get into. I don't think we can't call it Avengers anymore. I don't think.
Why
I
not?
think Avengers because the moving on. I mean, we're gonna get Avengers characters, but Cap gone, Iron Man gone. I mean, maybe. I mean, the Avengers is vast. It's a lot of them, but
you got the Young Avengers, you got the New Avengers, and I think you got the Dark Avengers. So they can do all three of them bitches. The New Avengers is the kids, right? We already got the new Hawk girl. She about to be in the show. You got Stature. That's Ant-Man's kid, right? You got Eli Bradley, homeboy, right?
Captain America, yeah.
Right? You got a lot of these young cats. You got Spider-Man, he a young cat. You got a lot of, you got WandaVision's
kids, yeah.
You got Young Avengers right there, so they could do Young Avengers. You could do New Avengers because, like you just said, you got Black Knight. He's been I think he's been an Avenger at one point. You got Shang-Chi. He's definitely one of the most powerful cats in the game now, so he could be an Avenger. You still got Wanda.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Now I have a statement and a question. So the statement is, when I said no more Avengers, I meant like the ones as we knew them,
like the classic Avengers. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, we lost Widow. You
got a new Widow.
We do have a new Widow. Okay, all right. So
Widow,
then,
baby.
Yeah, I like the new Widow. I ain't gonna lie.
She might be a Thunderbolt. She might be on the Thunderbolts, but she's a new Widow nonetheless.
I think, and just like we spoke about in the Black Widow review, like I like the actress as Widow. I do. I like her, Yelena. I like her. So it should, They got, like you said, they could call it Avengers, especially because Anthony Mackie, he's already signed up for Captain America.
He's the new Captain. This is the thing, bro. Just like we said, in our first videos, like it's a mantle, and just like a mantle, it gets passed on. So Iron Man gets passed on. You got Iron Maiden. You got Iron Lad.
Riri's gonna be up. Riri's gonna be in
Riri, Black or they could do the Iron Lad, and the Iron Lad is young Kane the Conqueror.
Okay, so one of his variants.
Right, one of his variants. They got a whole thing in the comic book when he goes back in time to go help a younger version of him. The younger version, he shows the younger version of him all the crazy shit he ends up doing, and instead of being evil, the younger version's like, nah, I'm not with it. And he becomes like Iron. He gonna be the good. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a couple people that pick up the Iron Man mantle. There's a couple people pick up the Captain America mantle. A couple people that pick up the Thor mantle. A couple people pick up the Black Widow mantle. Hawkeye mantle. These mantles and the team get shifted a lot. And so I feel like not only do we have the Loki and the What If that show you that these things can be shifted and there's a whole different possibilities, but I feel like that's what they're gearing us up for it. So like I'm saying, you got the Young Avengers team. I think that's damn near guaranteed. Because how many people we got from that? We got 5 of them already.
We have a lot. Yeah,
5 of them Young Avengers. Again, you got WandaVision's kids. That's 2. You got Spider-Man. You got the girl you got Hawkeye. Whatever. You got
Kate Bishop.
Right. You got Stature. That's 5. And then they could bring Eli on, and as young Captain America. What's his name? Patriot.
Young Patriot. Yeah, Young Patriot, and he's a leader, I think.
Boom. So now you got 6, and I'm sure I'm missing. So that's Young Avengers, bro. They got the Dark Avengers, which is just the Thunderbolts, because you got Red Hulk, you got Zemo, you got Evil Belova, you got Evil her. You got Namor when he comes on deck. You got Killmonger came on, but so you got enough characters for them to get crazy, man.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, I ain't even finished. On top of that, Spider-Man about to come on deck, and when Spider-Man come in, they about to bring on all these other superheroes, all these other supervillains.
They need to introduce Miles Morales. Once they introduce him, then we've already got a whole new set of things they could do. You know, I heard there was talks about having a specific actor, who they have playing. They want it's between Jaden Smith and another actor they were thinking about.
Wait, for what? For who? For what?
For Miles Morales.
No, let me tell you something, man.
It's just a strong rumor.
Jaden casting. I don't want Jaden for that. Listen, man. I need the brother from Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's what I will go with. But they say he might be Static Shock. They think about that.
Okay, then I'll slow my roll. If they giving me Static Shock, then I'll take him for Static Shock. I'll shut up.
Yeah, I like him for Static Shock. I like him for Static Shock.
And that's the problem, brother. Like, yo, we need them to bring out the black characters we have because
agreed.
Because there's so many characters. They want to flip-flop it and give you a black version. No, don't do me that. Give me Static Shock. Show me how he was. Yo, Static Shock could be the fire show, bro. Remember? He was dealing with the street gangs.
Yeah. They touched on topics that other shows, especially for that age group, was afraid to go. Mm-hmm. You know, they had an episode where somebody got shot. They were really afraid to go in those areas, and they did it. They went there.
You're right. They dealt with that. They dealt with gang violence, police brutality.
Yeah.
There was a lot, man. Oh, they dealt with the disparity between poor people and middle class, upper class. There was a lot going on. So that's what we really need in a place and time. Because look how well, DC, holla at me. Look how well Captain America and Winter Soldier. Yeah. Look how well that show did. Yeah. How they stepped on the vein of what's really going on in society and didn't do it like mockingly or like cheaply. It was well done because you had people of color that were of the culture, you know, on the team. So it's like that's what they could do in that same vein. They do
a black Cap was well received. Like he was it's like almost like the whole world. I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody loves Steve Rogers, you know, stuff like that, but it's like, all right, if we had to move on from him, Anthony Mackie was the guy. That's
bro. In reality, like the real world we live in is mad people mad that he's black now. But there's a black guy.
Really? I mean, I mean,
mad negative comments, mad racist shit.
I guess I didn't want to pay attention to that.
And it's like you motherfuckers are stupid because I've clearly never read a comic book because that's what happens in the damn comic book.
Yeah,
the same character is the same color and becomes the same other character. Like it's the same shit. It's not like they, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm mad because they followed the comics. I mean, they could have went one of two ways. They could have went Winter Soldier way too. So people upset that they didn't go one way because they both were canon Captain America at some point.
Bro, exactly. It'd be the same people that say, "Oh, stick to the script." That be mad when Kane the Conqueror was the way he was, or be mad when Captain America is now black. You mad at this black shit, but you know what I'm saying? You want them to stick to the script. You know what I'm saying? It's like. So at the end of the day, it's like obviously like we've been saying, you know, trust MCU, trust Marvel because they're gonna give a good thing. But yeah, man, when you can tether reality and real world issue and real world emotion to your story, that shit hits, man. Yeah. That shit's potente. So DC, quit playing with yourself. Get on top, get on board, get on with it.
I'm starting to trust DC a slight bit more because they have really been like I said, I've been watching. Like they already had it down pat with the anime, the cartoons. They already had won that category. We already spoke about that before. But now, Titans to me is that's a live action series, and it's supposed to be a gritty take on Teen Titans, obviously. And they've done a great job on that. Like it's one of my top 10 shows right now.
Only gripe I have with Titans, let me just say this, and then you can tell me all the great things. I do like it. The first 3 episodes of the new season, fire. The only gripe I have is you have Commissioner Gordon is his daughter, is Barbara, right?
Yeah, so, Barbara Gordon.
Right. So that means that she's already been the Oracle. The Killing Joke has already happened, right? I don't know about the Oracle part because I haven't seen the first 2 seasons. She might have been the Oracle. Has she done the Oracle stuff on the show?
When you see her, the first time they introduce her,
she's the Oracle.
No, she's not even the Oracle yet. She's
so that's one little issue. My one little issue is like you skipped a lot of stuff for her.
So okay, here's the issue, and I agree with you. But what they're doing is they're taking their own slight take to it, and they're changing stuff around bit by piece. So, for example, in the new season, they're doing Red Hood, one of my favorite character arcs. However, the way they did it was they literally, because Joker is already a person. He was never seen or introduced in the show. He's just known about. So they kind of did what they did for Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like, he's already established. We already skipped the part about Uncle Ben and him getting his powers and all that. This show kind of does that. So
I can't give you that because she's not. Everybody on this planet knows Spider-Man. Everybody.
But everybody knows Batgirl as well.
No.
I mean, not like Spider-Man, huh?
Nah.
Everybody knows Batman, but everybody, come on, like Batgirl.
Everybody on this planet knows who Batman, Spider-Man, and Superman is. Outside of that, it's murky, bro. Outside of that, it's murky.
All right. I mean,
movies. What?
I mean, no. Like I said, I agree with you. I don't like the fact that they skipped over these things. I just more or less accept it because they're inputting one thing to more establish a bigger thing, you know. So, but she she does touch base on it though. She speaks about it, you know, about how she got in a wheelchair and how, you know, when she used to be Batgirl and her getting shot. And honestly, you've only had Batman put in costume once in the show, and it was a dream sequence. So the thing
it's
is,
not even really about him either.
But the show's called Titans, which is why I forgive it. You feel me? Batgirl wasn't a Titan that I know of, so it's kind of like and that's the point that I was trying to make. It was not about these people, so that's why they only kind of mention them in passing. They mention them and have them there to establish the stories they really want to tell, which are solely about the Titans.
They make it canonical, so it's like, listen, Batman exists, but it's not about Batman. It's the same with Suicide Squad, right? Like Joker and Superman exist, but they have nothing to do with the story we're telling.
Right. So because they had to put in Joker to explain how Red Hood came about, that's why they mentioned them. So they show like you've seen it, like when Joker was beating up Robin. That's the first and last time we heard of the Joker, because after that, what happened? Batman killed him.
Yeah.
So now you take it away, Batman and Joker. Why? Because the story's not about these two. So I understand why they did it. As a fan, I would love to have seen that, but then it wouldn't be a show about Titans. You know, this the whole point was to set up how Jason Todd was killed and brought back as Red Hood. So, like, I can forgive it because you're still telling me the stories about the show I'm watching. If I wanted to see Batman and the Joker, I'll go watch Batman. You know what I mean? So,
that's what you want, right.
So I think that's why I say it's forgiven, especially and for Barbara Gordon as well. They didn't look past it like it never happened. They spoke about it. You know what I mean? So we know you're Barbara Gordon. We know
it's a part of the world, yeah. They could always maybe do a flashback scene or something. It's a part of the world.
Absolutely. That's not out the question. They could do that. You know, they leave room open for television. Like yeah, it is.
Bro, that's the you figure if you're like our argument on saying like put it all out now and don't try to wait, that works. That applies to movies, right? Like when you're trying to make a movie like Mortal Kombat, don't leave nothing out because 100%. You got to go out and prove that this shit is worthwhile in that one shot.
Right.
But a show where you might get 10 episodes,
you got all the time in the world.
Right. You know what I mean? And so it probably benefits from that because you can kind of like work it. And so now it's like, okay, they like this first season, and season 2 will go back and expand.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
And you know who does that? Arrow. Arrow made a whole don't get me wrong, I don't like Arrow, but I'm saying they did well when it came to that because the flashback was just as much as the story as the present. You know what I mean? Like I think I don't remember it, but I think up until season 6 the flashback stopped. So they gave us a whole storytelling of what happened in the past, and I kind of love that about the show because it's making us like we're getting a clear. It's everything that we're wanting in Titans. You know, now imagine they did sequences like that every episode. We have a little section of what happens in the past, or we got the chance to see Batman, the Joker, stuff like that. That has been dope too, but it slightly would have took away from the show because it's we're watching Titans,
right? But
they could have an episode based on a flashback. They could do that. They could be in season 4 and talk about something that happened in season 1 and add a flashback.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the good part about making it a series. And like you just said, you can't do that in a movie. It's do or die episode. Season first movie part 1 do or die. You got
it's over.
Right. If you don't mention it, I mean, unless you're really confident, like, and you feel like, all right, we can leave this the next, because that's what Mortal Kombat did. They confident as hell. They know they getting a part two because y'all didn't put Johnny Cage in part one. Um, you know, so to me, for you skipping out on that and you making it a whole another plot point for part two, you were confident you're getting a second, you're getting a sequel. TV
Yeah, you know,
shows,
with shit like that, the person might they like it's so real, bro. Who made that? Universal Studios or
Mortal
Warner
Kombat.
Brothers?
Is it? Warner Brothers, Warner
It
Brothers,
was on
Warner Brothers,
HBO.
Warner Brothers.
So it's so real. It's like they might have already ordered 3 movies from them. You know what I mean? Like the niggas like, hey, listen, I got an idea that we're gonna redo this franchise. All right, listen, we'll order the 3. We'll give you the budget for the 1. You know what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, it's like you said, they already knew what they was gonna do because they planned it out to be like a 3-piece installment, and that's all good and well if that first piece hit, right? So,
Right.
you know,
Right. And that's why I said, like, for Titans in particular, like I said, Barbara Gordon's introduced. If you're a fan, you know who she is right away. If you're not a fan, she gives a little quick background on, you know. I mean, yeah, she gives like a little quick background on who she is. Technically, if you're not a fan, you probably shouldn't be watching Titans. But
and it's like they seem like they have like a previous romantic relationship. Like, what's going on here? I want to know more. It's like,
first of all, Robin, who didn't he have a romantic relationship with? If you watch the first 2 seasons, Robin has dated everybody. So I guess this story is telling it when she used to date Robin. I guess before that, everything happened to her. But yeah, like I said, it's forgiving. Like, you know, Batman killed the Joker, so now we ain't gotta worry about Joker no more, and Batman quit, so we ain't gotta worry about Batman no more.
That's just convenient for the story.
It's convenient. It's a little lazy. Okay.
Like plot armor.
And I will admit, when I was watching Titans episode 3, I told myself, yo, if they kill off Hank 5 stars to the episode, because I was kind of confident he was gonna make it. When he didn't, I was like, you got some balls, Titans. Like, you know,
right.
You feel me?
You wasn't expecting it.
I was not. I thought Connor, Superboy, was gonna make it at the last minute, and it's gonna be one of those stories where they come together, kumbaya, and all that stuff. That is not what happened. What happened was dope. He showed up at the last second to watch this man fail because his girl Dove pressed the trigger button instead of what she thought was the
no, she shot him. No,
she thought she was gonna shoot him. Nightwing was telling her the whole time, do not shoot. That's what he wants. And he switched the gun with the detonator. So had she had the emotional the emotional strength to hold back and listen, Hank would have lived. It's the fact that she could not wait and she didn't trust what Nightwing was saying, and she pulled the trigger, and that ended up being a detonator. So
would you ever believe what he was saying?
I ain't gonna lie. It's a tough one.
That's the beauty of it. 99.99. I mean, the only person is like Nightwing might have believed it. Batman wouldn't have pulled the trigger. You know what I'm saying?
But see, Batman and Nightwing were subjected to that kind of training their whole life. They're built different.
Right.
You feel me?
Exactly.
So Dove didn't come up over the, you know, she had her, if you ain't seen it in past seasons, she had a little tragedy, you know, her mother, that's how her and Hank started messing around. They're connected based on that tragedy. When Hank's brother and Dove's mother were killed in the same car crash. Like, they didn't know each other. They just met each other on the street. They were buying something, and some car came out of nowhere and killed their brother and mother. They were both grief-stricken, and they both kind of went to counseling together and kind of hung out with each other, you know, because they both were hurting because they lost their loved ones in the same accident. The car hit both of them.
They had that in common type shit.
They had that in common, and you know, eventually it was innocent at first. They were there for each other, and naturally they had a one night stand because they were both hurting and they both confided into each other. And Hank used to get sexually abused by the gym coach. So Dove kind of was like, you know, well, you do all this fighting, why you ain't never go back and, like, you know, beat him up? Yeah. And then she kind of went and found him, looked him up, and whooped his ass for him. And then Hank kind of showed up while she was beating him, and he told her to leave, and she was like, no, we in this together. and then it kind of cuts back from they beating his ass. It's not really told what happens to them. It's assumed they beat him to death. So then that same night they get back and they sleep together. So when they wake up, Dove kind of feels like, yo, we can't connect like this. This is not healthy for us to, get together like this. So they both just had that one night stand, and that's that. Then they both joined the Titans. They still Hawk and Dove. So Dove used to be Hank's brother. She took on his persona, his costume. Oh, so that's where that came from. So when they joined Titans, Robin started dating Dove. So, you know what I mean? Because Dove didn't like the connection on how Hank started messing around. So they never became a official item. So then that's how Robin and Dove were together, even though that's how that whole thing started. And then they broke up because Robin, they didn't agree with something Robin did in season 2. We can speak more about that when we do another Titan review. But something that Robin did.
Full Titan review, facts.
Right. So just not to get too much into it, but something that Robin did in season 2 that, and I admit, was wrong. They didn't agree with it, so the Titans broke up. When the Titans broke up and left, Hank and Dawn left together, and that's when they started a relationship. That's when Robin and Dove broke up. So that's how they connected off that. And I liked Hank. Hank was a cool character. He was funny.
I mean, that episode was a good ass episode, man.
It really was.
For me, just walking into it and only watching this first season, like I think I seen like one episode of the first season. So, but just
the fact that it gave you emotional impact like that, and you just jumped into the show on the third season. Imagine what it did for people who's watching. You know what I mean? Like what it did for me when I was watching, because this is a character I've known for years now because I've been watching Titans since it started.
Wow. And
so that was just and then the fact that the emotional impact that it took from me when he didn't make it and Connor was right in front of him and he literally watched him die because he got right there and had it. It was like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. That was great ass writing.
Fire, bro. I was watching that and I'm like, yo, homeboy gonna call you and gonna let him sucker you into walking there. But it's like maybe he was just so confident and so, you know what I mean? You so boastful in your power and so confident. You ain't even worried about it. And that's where you got the drop on you. You know what I mean? So I was like, damn, you gonna let home? You gonna swim in the pool? I done went back to the lab. Like, yo, guys, I was on the phone with him. He's bugging out. Told me to swim. I had to come back. Yeah. So that was the first thing. And the second thing, real quick, just how you subvert what people, like you said, like you subvert what the audience assumes is gonna happen. Like I assumed they was gonna be able to get free him. I thought the whole time he was gonna be all right, bro. Yep. And then little by little, everybody kept calling him with the goodbyes. They're done. Yes, but they subverted it because it's almost like you assumed he was gonna be good, and then she did the wrong thing, and now it's like not only were you wrong, he's not good, but it's another character's fault. And it's like, damn, now you gotta live with it within the story. So it's like
that's the impact.
That was good.
Yep. This is gonna be one of the moments that's gonna last. I feel like 2 other seasons. Like this is gonna be a callback because that was a big moment.
Right. You other things that come. Right.
Yeah. Like you killed him. Not like because he would have been all right. And it's that emotional drag that he could have made it but didn't. That's what like hurts the most. And I
wouldn't even bring her down. Yeah.
And I give credit to Red Hood for even he knows his team well enough to know how they were going to react. It reminds me of Jigsaw. Red Hood reminds me of Jigsaw.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. The way he set it up, the way he kept on trying to push her to pull the trigger. Like, come on, she a grown woman. Let her pull the trigger. Go ahead. Like, knowing damn well, like, it's either you, and then it's psychological. If you pull the trigger, you literally kill somebody you love. You trying to kill me, you're gonna kill him. In your head, you thinking if you pull the trigger, you save him. That's a whole mind, like, you know what I mean? If that ain't no psychological like damage right there, the whole time you thinking pulling the trigger kills Jason and saves your lover. Meanwhile, you pulled the trigger to kill your lover. Red Hood knew that. Red Hood knew that she would do that because he already got her to the point where you already robbed his bank for him after Nightwing told you not to, and you kind of followed along because Red Hood knew that you loved him so much that you would do that, and you, like you just mentioned before, anybody would. So that's what makes it harder. That's a harder pill to swallow. Like, what would you have done?
This is what I want to ask you to sum it up. What do you think? What do you think is behind this, man? Who's pulling the strings, man? How did he get to resurrect and and what's going on with the smell and stuff. And so, what's your thoughts? How's the season ending?
Well, it's easy just for me to say I think it's Ra's al Ghul if they decide to put him in the show. But then again, it's hard to say because, like we just explained earlier, how they did with the Joker, these iconic villains belong to Batman. So Ra's al Ghul, even though I think the comics and the show, he played a part with the Lazarus Pit and bringing him back to life. I don't know if that's the direction they're gonna go for the show. The sniffing stuff, I have no idea what that is. I don't know how it applies to the story.
Right?
I'm just still I'm hoping they're not gonna drop the ball and just let that be that.
It's a loose end, right?
Yeah.
It's very interesting though, because they followed it a good amount, and that's what my thoughts are. Like, what is that? The only thing that reminds me of in the DC world is like the Bane liquid, right? Like,
yeah, I thought of that.
Like,
the Venom.
Is Bane in the show yet? No, has Bane been?
No, he's not in the show.
Any way? So maybe maybe they're dealing with they're gonna say he knows a chemist of some kind, and that leads to Bane. Maybe the resurrection, like you said, Ra's al Ghul is what happened. That's an easy slam dunk, but maybe it's too Batman-y. But you gotta explain how he comes back to life. Who did that? Was he really dead? Maybe that. But maybe they are gonna do the Ra's al Ghul stuff and just leave Batman out of it.
Maybe they could. Batman quit, right?
He quit, maybe,
So then maybe they could do it. They could do it like that. Like I noticed they have Scarecrow in the show now. So we can see.
So this is my last thought, bro. This is my last thought. My last thought is maybe they're gonna use Ra's al Ghul, but even Ra's al Ghul's upon. Like, imagine. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. Maybe they're gonna do something like a Court of Owls thing, like the movie's about to do. Like maybe like the reason why he got brought back was to be used to take Batman out. They knew that if his sidekick be killed, maybe Batman would get taken out of the equation, and then Gotham would be able to be taken over. It's like, well, who would benefit from that? Court of Owls,
Well, what I have to say about that? You didn't see episode 4. So,
oh no, I didn't.
So that's you might be
listen, people. I'm talking without episode 4. I'm about to go watch that after we get off of this. So look out for the episode 4 where I changed my whole thought. But I still think is Bane still a possibility? Did they do anything with that thing yet?
There hasn't been anything Bane related. However, I'm not going to be. We're going to do a episode 4 review, so I'm not going to speak too much on it. But okay, I think Scarecrow plays a bigger part than what we're leading on to believe. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, then. So then, after we watch this, I will add that to my calculation. But I will say this: I think they could be using his rogues, right? You get your Scarecrow. You get who's calculating enough to come up with these type of plans. What's my man's name? Maybe the Riddler. You know what I'm saying? Maybe so you get these other type of people that aren't Batman but are of Batman's. You know what I mean? And so maybe their whole plan was what? Get rid of this guy. So now they could run Gotham the way they want to run it. So they got Scarecrow. Right. You got right. So that could be it. That would be dope. We definitely gonna listen. I'm gonna watch that, gentlemen, ladies, everybody out there. I'm gonna watch that, and I'm gonna come back with some more conclusive evidence.
And then we can have a real conversation about what happens in episode 4.
Then we got a grown man.
He's gonna put the rest. He's gonna have put the rest of the bullets in the gun because right now he's shooting. Right.
I might be shooting blanks.
Yeah.
Together, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, but okay. So they got another one. We're definitely gonna talk about that. I'm looking forward to Spider-Man. You know that's coming out soon. Spider-Man,
Eternals,
Venom 2,
Shang-Chi.
Listen, and they saying good things about that, bro.
You know what? We at the end of the show, but like I just wanted to say, did anybody realize that the movie was coming out this close? Because I don't feel like they advertised it that much.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't realize that either. It's damn near out.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird for a Marvel movie. And for an Asian-led Marvel movie, it's kind of dropping the ball a little bit.
You know what? I bet you they promoting their ass off in them Asian markets.
Oh, for sure.
They promoting their ass off over there, right? So it probably is one of the things where it's like they marketing. They dropping little things, and it's like they're not doing nothing big like they would do, like you said, like Black Panther or Avengers or Captain. But they understand their market. So, but with that said, I think it is a good ass movie. I think, and I'm interested to see that, see what happens, man. I'm interested to see.
I don't know who he is, so I can't wait to see it either.
Got Abomination in there, all that. So, yeah, bro. With that being said, take us out. Good people, appreciate y'all for tapping in with us. Chance, take us out.
Like, subscribe, comment. See you next time.
Peace.
Peace.